Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to my Max Payne 3 hardcore difficulty video walkthrough. This is chapter 7, and this is a hangover sent directly from Mother Nature. So this very beginning is probably my favourite shootout in the game, because thematically and just, you know, how it plays out is so Max Payne, it's unbelievable. And I really like it. It's a cool one, and as you can see, you can dive around like an idiot on this one because there's not too many enemies and your gun does enough damage to put them down if you're accurate. Just be really careful because the black guy behind the bar to my right, who I took out I think third, he has a shotgun and it's a sawn-off and it does some serious damage. But this music is so apt as well. This is such a good mission, this one. I enjoyed it a lot. And there is quite a lot of nudity on it, so I don't know, the Let's Players are probably going to have issues with this part, because there's people full on having intercourse. I mean, you don't get close-ups, it's not like fucking Antichrist with Willem Dafoe in the shower, but it's still pretty graphic, which I'm all for, because I love adult games. I love now that our industry is being acknowledged for being an adult medium, as opposed to all these people that think it's only kids that play games, because those people are ignorant and retards. But we're back in the clutches of Max Payne anyhow. I've got the AK in my hands and 3 painkillers to boot. As per normal, you should be checking every single surface for anything more and picking up the weapons you prefer, because this is a long level. And it's a challenging level because you're going to get assaulted from various angles. They're going to be on all kinds of tiers, on balconies, and it's not an easy level. And that guy just proved it as he shoots me once with his Uzi and it puts me to death screen, which is bullshit. But I keep getting comments from people that are kind of confusing the difficulties on this game, and I did kind of try and make it as clear as I possibly could on the first video. But I'm going to reiterate, just for those people, Hardcore is the hardest difficulty on the game that is not timed. The reason I say this is because news that's come from forums, New York Minute Hardcore is probably going to be the hardest thing to do on this game, because that sounds ridiculous. If you die, you have to do the entire game again. It's just like Dead Space, only you're timed, so it's harder. But as far as story difficulty goes, Hardcore is the most challenging. Old School is just hard, but you don't have the kill cam revive, so you can't rely on painkillers to revive you. That is the only difference. It's the same difficulty as hard. That is literally it. And this is one of those interesting moments in the game that I wish there was more of. There are 2 American tourists throughout the campaign. This is the first one. Sorry, this is the second one and the final one. The first one is back on mission 2 when you're in the nightclub. He's in the toilet then. I skipped him because it was a cutscene and I wanted to leave it out. But I actually did not find this guy my first time through the game. So this was a surprise to me and that's why it's in. And he's a bit of a pervert, but it's awesome because it's just more character to it. And you do get an achievement and a trophy for finding both of them, so they are worth, you know, scouting out. But the reason that this level is challenging is, like I say, it's a very crowded and cluttered environment, and sometimes it can be hard to see where the enemies are going to come from, and they're generally above you on balconies, which does make it, you know, more difficult because they have a height advantage. Also, if you're playing with a headset on, this bit is really misleading because when you're outside in the favelas, the sound design is crazy. You're going to hear dogs barking, you're going to hear people shutting windows, you're going to hear activity that doesn't actually happen. So don't trust your ears, because your ears are going to betray you. The only thing you want to rely on is the music, because as soon as you get into a gun battle, you're going to hear those bongos or those crazy drums where it's like dun 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 dun, and it kicks in like that, and that tells you you're in a gunfight. As soon as that music stops, you're out of a gunfight. And these moments here are kind of like the start of this level, which I've trimmed out, where you're just going to be walking through streets and you're not actually going to see anybody. It's just building tension and it's making you apprehensive of what's coming. So like right there, I thought that was a dude. That's just some lady that wants to shut her windows, and I'm super paranoid because oh, there we go, he's a bad guy. Do you notice how I didn't go immediately to him because I thought he was one of the just random strangers or a civ? He was a bad dude. So the first guys that will come are those 2 on the roof. Luckily enough, they go down real quick from the AK, and the shoot dodge can be powerful if you use it correctly. This bit's silly. What I should have done here is run through the gate, let it close, and then go back into cover up against here. Because what's happening now that you can't tell is the gate is pushing me. The gate wants to close and the physics engine is pushing me and pushing my aim. That's why I'm having such a hard time aiming at these guys, because my reticle's being adjusted by the weight of the gate. Look at it, fucking pushing me. so gay, but hopefully you'll not get in this spot because you'll know. I was just, come on Max, stop being so framey, stop trying to get me screwed, let me shoot these dudes. But, there we go. So just take your time. Some of the scenery is destructible, so use that to your advantage to punch holes in them. And just be extremely tentative, because if you rush out on these areas, there's going to be dudes all around you, and you're just going to get killed. You want to take it slow and methodically, and hopefully you'll be good with that. But I've mentioned some things that I don't think this game does that a Max Payne game should do. So I'm going to talk about some things that I think this game does extremely well, because it does a lot of good things. First one is kind of a double-sided sword. I like it and I don't like it. And that is the cutscenes. What they've managed to do on this game is they load during cutscenes, which I think is a fantastic idea in theory. And what this means is, while you're watching a cinematic that's telling you some exposition on the storyline, the game is loading the next level or the next section. Which is awesome, because anybody who's been gaming for a long time will know loading screens are the bane of a gamer's existence. We spend more time in loading screens than we probably do eating hot dinners, and if we're really passionate when it comes to games and we play them a lot every day, we'll probably in our lifetime have going to spend more time loading than we do doing some other major activities. And it's unacceptable. It's something that needs to go. Optimization, powerful processors, we need loading to be a minimum. And it's come a long way. If anybody's ever played a Commodore 64, let me tell you, it's come a long way, because anyone who has will know that console loaded for days, and then when the game actually came on, you moved to the other side of the screen and it loaded again. And most of the times, it crashed. Like, I had a Batman game, and I loved Batman when I was younger, so all I did was play this Batman game, and it took about 20 minutes to load. You were in the Batcave, you moved from the left of the Batcave to the right of the Batcave, and it crashed. And it did it every time, and I must have tried this game 100 times because I wanted to play as Batman, and I was young and I was stupid, and it just died every time. So loading's come a long way, but hiding it in cutscenes is one way of dealing with it. The place where it falls down and the place where I dislike it is when I'm trying to go through the game numerous times. When I've seen the cutscenes, I enjoyed the story the first time, I don't want to watch them again. And I want to get straight to the gameplay because I'm recording a guide for whatever reason. And I have to sit through unnecessary dialogue and cutscenes because the game is still loading. And the amount of times you try and skip something and it tells you the game is loading really shows how much this game loads. And for anybody that doesn't own it, this is on 2 discs, and I couldn't understand why. And it must be the cutscenes, it literally has to be the cinematics, because this game is filled with them. Like, the old Max Paynes, it was all the comic book stuff, it was all the stationary pictures, so the cutscenes were generally, you know, probably didn't take up too much space, but everything on this game is generated in-engine, and it has those awesome effects layered over them, so it probably takes up a lot of space, a la, you know, the facial recognition of L.A. Noire. But I don't understand it, and the loading in the cutscenes, it's like I say, it's a double-sided sword, but I think it's a cool idea, and I'm glad that they've implemented something of the sort. One thing I do find kinda, you know, un-Max Payne-ish is the health bar, the heads-up display is probably a better way of saying it. Max Payne 1 and 2, your HUD was on the left. And I know this sounds really petty, but why is it on the right? I don't get it. It's never been on the right. Just seems strange to me. But the effects that happen throughout the game is another thing I want to talk about. The crazy, you know, scan lines and lens flares and colour distortion and all that craziness happening with the camera. I love it. Anybody knows who listens to me or watches my guides, I really adore Kane and Lynch 2. More because of the feel of the game and the aesthetic and the visual style than anything. I adore that look. There's something about it. And this game has it in spades. And it looks really, really cool. I just wish it had a purpose, because at first I thought it represented Max being drunk, and I thought it represented how much he was slipping into, you know, decadence. But then when Max stops drinking, it's still doing it, so it has no real relevance. And I wish it just had more of, you know, a narrative point to symbolise something was happening. And instead it's just, you know, a flowery effect, which is cool, but doesn't really serve much of a purpose, rather than to annoy people that dislike it and to, you know, fillet the people that do. But thanks for watching, guys. There's 2 more parts in this pretty long level, so I'll see you in those videos, and you take care.